In the last episode of this series, we began to talk about moving the torso through space, but we came to a common and seemingly strong counterargument to what I've been proposing. I said we would like to maintain the flatness of the frontal plane and prevent rounding or arching of the back line when leaning, and also that we should maintain the ribcage high above the pelvis throughout the movement. The counterargument says it's not desirable to lean in the same way all the time, that is restrictive and rigid. What is truly good posture is freedom of movement, comfort, and ease in activity, not trying to force yourself to follow strict rules. This sounds like a strong counterargument, and in some ways it is. The problem is that this counterargument more accurately describes people's current condition than what I'm proposing. This idea that we should not lean in the same way all the time is particularly interesting because most people lean forward in the same way all the time. Most people will immediately move their lower sternum and lower ribs forward much more quickly than their upper sternum when they lean, which will rotate the ribcage and shorten the torso in a way I've described multiple times in this series. And they will do it every time they lean forward. No matter what situation they're leaning in, their entire conception of leaning forward is to push the lower sternum and lower ribs forward very quickly. So if you believe that people should not lean in the same way all the time, then you must also believe that there is something wrong with how people are currently leaning. You certainly could not describe people who lean in the same habitual way over and over as moving freely. Quite the opposite, there is nothing more restrictive than repeating a habit without the ability to stop. The reason I suggest that you should maintain a flat frontal plane and a back line that is neither arched nor slumped when leaning is because doing so will lengthen and stretch your fascia. What I'm suggesting is not some arbitrary rule. Your fascia is either functioning properly and providing you with a lot of mechanical advantage, or it's not. And when you don't have the mechanical advantage of taut fascia, you're forced to overwork certain muscles. You're forced to apply a large amount of misdirected effort, and you will have to heave yourself out of a chair instead of just sitting up out of it. If we return to the concern about freedom, we can ask a very simple question. Can a person who is free in their movements, can a person who doesn't apply rules to their movements but instead does what is easy and comfortable, can they choose to lean their torso in a different way? Could they choose to lengthen their fascia and lean without bending their torso? No, the answer is they cannot. The choice to lean without bending does not exist for most people. That's not to say they couldn't learn to lean without bending, but most people, as they are currently composed and with their current knowledge, could not orchestrate the movements needed to lean without bending and shortening their torso. How is that freedom? Because a person who has trained to gain the ability to lean with their fascia taut can absolutely choose to lean in a different way. They could choose to bend and shorten their torso if they desired to. They do possess a choice. The rules I'm suggesting for movement are not shackles. They are guidelines for using the fascia in your body to its full potential. These guidelines will not prevent you from having choices in how you use your body. They will provide you with a basis to actually control those choices. They are the route to breaking free from the restriction of your habitual movements. But there's another part of this counterargument that must be addressed. Are ease and comfort reliable guides towards better movement? I can tell you that people will display quite a bit of ease in making movements that they habitually make. If someone routinely slumps when they are sitting in a chair, they will slump with great ease. It's second nature for them, and they will likely say that their habitual slump is comfortable. What is easy and comfortable for us is whatever we're used to doing. That's not to say that most people's habits don't frequently lead to pain and discomfort. They absolutely do. But people don't change their habits easily. Even if someone knows they are sitting poorly and that is causing them pain, they don't change how they sit. In their mind, it's easier to sit the way that they're used to. It's more comfortable to sit in the familiar slump than to try to sit upright and tall. Trying to sit without slumping would be unusual and uncomfortable. It would be a struggle. No, in my opinion, ease and comfort are not reliable guides to using your body better or to avoiding pain in the long run. You'll feel ease and comfort when you make your habitual movements, at least for some time. But as you age, you will likely see your habitual movements lead to pain and discomfort. Your habitual slump, which feels so comfortable, will lead to pain that is at best annoying and at worst unbearable. Chasing immediate comfort and ease is a path to discomfort and pain in the long run. However, if you trained to make your general patterns of movement good, then they too would come to feel comfortable, and with time, you would coordinate your movements properly with more and more ease. So if you desire genuine ease and comfort in the long run, your aim should be to learn how to use your body properly, not to do what's easy and comfortable for you now as you're currently operating. The rules that I'm suggesting for moving the torso might seem like a lot to consider to begin with. It might seem like they're robbing you of your ability to move freely. But what they are really taking from you is your ability to move mindlessly. They are taking away your carelessness in movement, and perhaps carelessness sometimes feels like freedom. But freedom is having the ability to choose. Freedom is having control over yourself, and not being a slave to your habits. When you begin to implement the concepts I've laid out in your movement, you will move with less ease to begin with. You will have strange sensations, and movements will not feel as comfortable as the habitual movements you are used to. This is to be expected, as I'm asking you to move your body in ways that you have never done before. Why would you show ease at doing something you've never done before? To change your posture, you have to change the movements that you're making. You have to change, and change is rarely easy. And so I must say, I reject the notion that ease and comfort are any kind of reliable guide towards better posture. Making new movements will often feel quite strange and uneasy at first. But if those new movements are the correct ones, the ones that will allow you to rely on the mechanical advantage of your taut fascia, then in the long run, you will experience genuine comfort in your movements. But now we must address another problem. I've given you a number of considerations concerning the torso, but I've not really explained how you can implement these changes in an effective way. I've given you information, knowledge concerning how the body should be used, but having that knowledge doesn't necessarily lead to change. Even if you know what is a bent torso and what is an unbent torso, mere possession of that knowledge will not change you. How do you actually change how you use yourself in an effective way? Tune into the next episode, and we will continue our journey.